Hey everybody, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host Jerry, joined here today by Corey Brennan. If you watched our previous shows on Irish Wrestling, you may have seen Corey. You'll also find Corey on Fightful. He's got a few interviews with the Irish Stars coming up in the next few weeks with Sammy D, with Jay, maybe a few more. Stay tuned to Fightful to see what Corey's got coming up here. We're here today to talk about NXT Vengeance Day and maybe a future of NXT going into Stand and Deliver for WrestleMania weekend. So, Corey, how did you find Vengeance Day yourself as a pay-per-view or PLE?
I really actually enjoyed it. I think a lot of people were worried about how the show would transpire with all the stuff going on just in general with
Yeah.
WWE. You've got with the lawsuits, with the Rock and Cody stuff and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the show did deliver. It's pardon the pun. I loved the pacing of the show. No
Yeah.
match went over 20 minutes, which is a rarity for NXT, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And I really didn't really have a match that I didn't thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
Even the six person mixed tag match, that was something that I
Yeah, it
actually
was.
was very surprised by how good it actually was in the end.
We're big fans of Tony D'Angelo and the family in this house, so
Yeah,
it's nice to get a mixture because you can have the same feud over and over again. So when you throw in a few
yeah.
women into it and make it a six person tag match, it gets it's different dynamic then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both the women involved in the match were that a lot of people were worried about how they would be
Yeah.
because obviously they're more new than the rest of the competitors in the match. But I think they both delivered as well. I think
Yeah.
they both surprised a lot of people. So I did enjoy the show a lot.
Yeah, it was. Well, we could start off. We'll start off with where we start with the Dusty Classic. Um, Braun Breaker and Bar Corbin, the Wolf Dogs, as they're calling themselves, come out
Yeah,
in the dual bikes.
matching bikes killed me. The matching bikes absolutely killed me. I literally was like, yeah, it's like a bad buddy cop movie almost with the pair of
How do you
them.
find them as a tag team? They're gelling on me. I don't know about
They're
you.
they're really gelling, and
Yeah.
honestly, I actually had a report on Select before Vengeance Day. They were actually turning a lot of heads in NXT,
Hmm.
and important people are paying attention to how the crowd is reacting to them.
Yeah.
Like I obviously going on into Raw, Braun was on Raw last night,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the minute he showed up, crowd were barking. They gave him a big pop and everything. So obviously, it's working. And Corbin has surprised me a lot since he went down to NXT. I feel like he's really rejuvenated his career by
Yeah.
going down
Yeah.
to NXT. Being a free agent, he can jump from brand to brand. Um, I feel like that if they really want to keep this act going, they could easily transition it to the main roster and have them
Absolutely. Yeah.
go after Judgment Day
Yeah. Because Bar
easily.
Corbin on the main roster, like he's never been a face. Like he's like,
And that's the thing with this character, he's almost a tweener, and like
yeah.
that's new for him, and he's
Hmm.
coming across well. And I do enjoy that they're not like completely serious.
Yeah.
It's a very like Braun has a way of channeling his uncle and his father in a
Hmm.
lot of ways athletically,
Yeah.
and when he's speaking, like he did his own Steiner math on the kickoff show, like which
Brilliant.
I found hilarious, and I think they were absolutely the right call to win this
Yeah.
tournament. And
Absolutely.
the minute that I saw what the finals were going to be, I knew they were going to get the win. But the way they got to the win in the end, I actually really did enjoy the match. I did enjoy the match. Mello and Trick were great.
Hmm.
I think they did a good job of showing that Trick is going to be wrestling twice. He's going to be
Yeah.
like I believe it was an end of days attempt maybe, or I think it was where Trick landed on his feet, knee was hurt, and they sold that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the finish was interesting because for a lot of ways it could have went differently. I feel like Carmelo didn't shove Trick out of the way. It wasn't
Yeah.
like
He was.
sacrificing. It was like he almost wandered into the
Well,
spear.
it looked like he was looking at Trick. It was looked like he was
Yeah,
heading for Trick and ended up picking the spear instead. Like looked like he was going to do something to Trick when his back was turned.
yeah. They did a really good job building
Yeah.
to that storyline and building to the conclusion at the end. But we'll get into that a bit more
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
later.
But
But
with the Dusty Classic, I'm not sure how many. I'll have to double check that. But it seems to be a lot of these mismatched tag teams. Like if you go back, it's always random people who are paired up that end up winning it.
I think that's the thing with that's both a good thing and a bad thing
Hmm.
because it does produce interesting storylines. Obviously, we've seen Finn and
Yeah,
Joe actually did it a while back.
they
Uh,
they were the
so
first one there.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's it's almost I don't like that it almost undercuts your uh legitimate tag teams
hmm,
like in NXT because NXT tag team wrestling is something that goes back throughout the whole
yeah,
time of NXT. So in regards to what comes next for them, most of the time, I don't know if it's been every year, I can't really remember, but the Dusty Classic does tend to lead into a tag title shot of some
yeah,
kind. You sometimes in NXT, sometimes not. And I would like to see Breaker and Corbin have a brief run as NXT Tag Champions, just to really see if this is a long-term act.
yeah,
Because if
yeah.
it's a long-term act, it's good for both involved.
Hmm.
So with regards to the match in general, like I said, it was a very fun match, and honestly, I don't really have many notes on it. It was
Yeah,
well produced. It
it
was
was.
very
Yeah,
well
yeah,
received. Obviously, it was a bit scary. 2 points in that match. Bron getting
bronze.
mixed in the ropes,
Fucking
and
hell.
then Carmelo slipping on the ropes.
Yeah.
And I did,
Commentary backed up though. They were like saying
yeah.
it was was it Barrett that said the ropes were a bit loose tonight or something, or somebody trying to
And
cover it up.
no, no, it wasn't said on commentary. I was just asking around, and I just found out that they did actually check the ropes after that match.
Yeah.
They were worried about it
Hmm.
When happened with Braun, they did comment on it, and then when Carmelo slipped, they were like, okay, we really need to check this out in
Yeah, yeah,
between
yeah.
matches. And they did check it out, and it was they did. I don't know if they did tighten it or did they find that that was that, but it is good that they are keeping
Yeah,
on
yeah.
tabs on that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens with Braun Breaker of all the people. And I know Carmelo and Trick will go on to do big things, but I think Braun
Yeah.
is one of those people who are like he could either be the next big thing or he could
Yeah,
be the next Heidenreich. Like,
Braun has come a long way since he made
hmm,
his NXT debut, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't really realize because the NXT product is something that you either love or hate.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for much of his run, his NXT title runs were with 2.0, which was
hmm,
when they did lose a lot of viewers.
yeah.
So I don't think people realize how much he has come along in these years. He does have that
He's
natural that
yeah,
Steiner athleticism,
hmm,
like, and now he's added just his mic skills, his humor. He's genuinely
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hilarious. Like,
Ever since his rub with the Undertaker, it's just like
yeah,
it's like a different person. Like his intensity isn't multiplied, even though like it's hard to make him even more intense than the Steiners. Like,
he has the best spear in the industry right
oh,
now, and I
it's
don't think it's
wicked.
particularly close. The one he hit on Ivar in the Rumble was absolutely
Mm.
insane, and he hits people, and it's like he absolutely just runs through them.
Yeah,
It's very reminiscent of the Gore and Goldberg spears
yeah.
because he just runs through people, and I think that's going to become a big factor in his run because like you just there's so many different ways he can hit
His
that spear because
his
he's so
pace.
athletic.
He's so
Yeah.
fast. Yeah.
Like that's the thing as well. They're having a hard time keeping up with him at times.
Mm.
Production, like I've heard of literally production saying, like Jesus, he's giving us whiplash because he's trying to keep up with him, and it's just to me, he's the next star in waiting, and
I think so.
it's not a particularly hard sell to be honest
No, and
to
he's
sell him as the big star he is.
yeah. And what age is he? Like 22, 23? He's got a
I don't know if he's quite that young, but he is
the
still
early
very young,
20s. Yeah. So he's
very
got a
green.
he's got a good 20 years in him, like
Yeah.
to get even
So
better.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to see what comes next for Braun and Corbin,
Yeah.
and tonight they do have their celebration on
Yeah,
NXT,
yeah,
so
it
it
should
should
be
be
good.
interesting as well.
Speaking of big athletic guys, Dijak overcame Joe Gacy in
Yeah,
a weird kind of not extreme rules match, but a weird kind of
no DQ. Yeah,
no DQ match. Like so, Joe Gacy's playing this character. I've seen some people play before where they love the pain and they're just
yeah.
they're getting beaten doesn't really seem to bother them. It just seems to make them more weirder. Where do you
Yeah.
think Joe Gacy is? Like, where is this character going? Because he's been in around for a while, and they've
Uh,
been compared to Bray Wyatt in the past, and
yeah. I really like Gacy. I didn't originally, I'll be completely
yeah,
honest, when he was doing the stuff with with the Grizzled Young
yeah,
Veterans and Ava. I didn't like that. But since that split, he's kind of been someone who I found to be quite entertaining,
Mm.
a lot more entertaining than I expected. And I think he's actually a really good worker as well in the ring. And obviously, Dijak, we all know, is an
Yeah.
absolute, another, like you said, another big athletic guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Um,
I think that match was something that was like I loved that the weapons used weren't
yeah.
run of the mill. There was Legos, there was the
He's
nightsticks
a
at the
Lego on the
start.
table.
Vic Joseph commentating during that was brilliant. He just
Yeah.
turned when he turned to Wade and was like, "Have you ever stepped on a Lego at 3 a.m.? That hurts." Just a brilliant line. And to just briefly say, Vic Joseph on Sunday was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Are
Abs
you surprised that he wasn't called up whenever Kevin Patrick was gone from SmackDown? Everybody was thinking maybe Vic Joseph will go
I
with.
don't see it's a very interesting scenario because right now, obviously I don't know if you've seen, but Ace Steel has said that CM Punk is being considered for commentary
Oh, really?
during while he's injured. So I think um up until that point, I think they will put a plan in motion. Now I don't know this for a fact, this is just me speculating.
Yeah.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to run with Wade and Corey on
Hmm.
SmackDown, and if that doesn't work out, I think Vic will be brought up, and it's a bad situation all around because either Wade or Corey will lose out, and I'm a fan of both of them. I think they're both great
Yeah, they're
commentators, great
brilliant.
color commentators, and obviously Pat McAfee isn't going to be around forever, so obviously they'll go to Raw when he does leave
Yeah,
again
yeah,
for college game day. But I'd like to see Vic soon enough be moved to the main roster
yeah.
because he is an absolutely phenomenal play-by-play
He is, he is.
commentator.
Yeah, with Corey and Barrett are pretty much the same. Like they play the same character when they're on commentary. They're the
Yeah,
heel-ish, you know. It just doesn't. I don't know if it's going to work out with Corey being, the
play-by-play.
play-by-play.
Graves like it's not a problem with Graves being a play-by-play. Graves can do play-by-play, and I think
Mhm.
he's shown that he can do play-by-play. But he's still trying to do both, and it's hard
Yeah.
to do both, especially as a heel.
Mhm.
So, um, I don't know about that situation, but getting back to the match
Yeah.
itself, um, Dijak is someone who I feel is untapped potential. I think he's really funny. I think
Mhm.
he's really talented, and I think his since he made his somewhat return to NXT with the repackage,
Yeah.
he was no longer T-Bar. He's really thrived, and obviously his deal selected report that his deal is up later this summer.
All right.
So and all I've heard is good things about Dijak as well from
Mhm.
NXT. He's absolute pleasure to work with and all that. And I do think he is the guy to take the title off Dragunov.
You think? Yeah.
I don't think it's Trick. I do think it's Dijak. I think you give Dijak a good run with the NXT title, let him have these absolute
Mhm.
great matches with people.
Yeah.
And I think tonight, or not tonight, Sunday was the
Yeah.
start of that.
Yeah. It
Personally,
was. He was one of the standout performers of the night. I think he had a great match, and like you said, since he came back to NXT as Dijak again, like he's been one of the people who stands out. Obviously, he's a big dude, like bigger than
yeah,
most of the people on the roster. Like, but he just knows, like he's comfortable. He knows what he's doing. He's not overthinking things. He's not pausing and wondering where he should be, and you
yeah,
just see you can rely on him. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him and uh Dragunov and at stand and deliver. It will be a hell of a call. Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned it at the start. The family against OTM. Um, they got the win. The family got the win. They are the tag team champions as well. So do we see? We mentioned Bron and Corbin probably defeating them at stand and deliver.
I think that it's an easy way to go, but it's also a problem because the D'Angelo family is a really fun
Hmm.
act. I do really enjoy them, and especially Tony Stacks is brilliant as well,
Yeah.
and obviously Rizzo, like I said, surprised me. Jaida Parker, I miss referenced her. She's not as new,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
as Rizzo, but she's not. She's absolutely great as well.
Hmm.
She showed she showed her athleticism a lot in that match and caught a lot of people's eye as well backstage. But um, OTM OTM are a tag team that I think are either going to sink or swim,
Mm.
and they really need to figure out what
those
comes next for them.
those bikes, like I don't think they should have come out in those bikes after Corbin and Bron come out in the
Yeah,
motorbikes. Them coming out in those push bikes just didn't it made them look smaller compared to the big
yeah.
bikes the boys come out. And I don't think they should come out in them at all. But they're big dudes, like they have a potential, but again, that doesn't always work for big dudes in WWE.
No, but like, I'm not saying that there's anything particularly wrong with them or
Hmm.
anything negative in the slightest. That
Yeah, yeah,
they're a good team, and I do enjoy watching them. It's just I do feel that there are so many teams in WWE now. They've done a great job of all three brands having
yeah,
established teams. I think they really do need to figure out something else to really get them as a catch
yeah,
or
yeah.
not catch people's attention.
Hmm.
Obviously, having Script slash Reggie has been hilarious. He's been brilliant. I find him to be one of the most underrated people in the whole
Yeah, yeah.
company, personally.
Hmm.
So, um, I really don't know what is next. I don't know if they're going to go with the direction of Braun and Baron to take the titles off them. I'd like to see that as much as I do like Tony and
Yeah.
Stacks, but that's more so the fact that I think Tony and D'Angelo family is going to work 10 times better on the main roster.
Do you think
So I
that work that character, the NXT character development is main roster worthy? Like that, I love
I
we're big fans of the family,
yeah.
but do you think that kind of character would get over?
I think it would get over, and I think it would get over in a lot of
Hmm.
fun ways, especially if they keep like leaning into it. They've done a great job of leaning into it since they did the prison angle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think if you keep up that, keep it a little silly, keep it a
Hmm.
little fun, just keep it like that, keep it stereotypical of like just the whole character, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
keep it going because fans do like it, and they do like Tony, and Stacks has come so far in the ring, so
Yeah.
far. He's absolutely great in the ring, I find.
Keep the
So,
Sopranos promo video packages going as well. That was brilliant.
oh,
I love that.
they're fantastic. A lot of people don't really like these vignettes, these like these odd promo
Yeah,
styles like
yeah.
you've seen on the main roster with Bate and Dunn and so on.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
find them to be
I
quite
like
funny.
them.
I think they have their place in pro wrestling.
They
I think they
absolutely do
really do.
because you can just do a standard backstage promo, but you don't really get to know who the character is, like so you can't really get
Yeah,
behind them, like just another generic promo. So they stand
yeah.
out.
Yeah. So, really, in conclusion for this storyline, I think could, they probably should move on from it. But I do want to see
Yeah,
more of Rizzo, and I do really hope the OTM can find their footing because I do really do think they are a
yeah, yeah,
fun tag team. So,
yeah. We'll see what happens with them. After that, we had Lyra started off with a one-on-one match with Roxanne Perez. And then they took a bit of time to get going. Like they were doing a bit of feeling out process for the first five
yeah,
minutes or so, and it looked like they were going to head for a banger, and then out came Lola Vice to cash in her breakout contract, and the
yeah,
crowd went fucking mental, didn't they? They actually,
yeah.
the crowd wasn't dead for the match, but they were,
They were middling.
still
They were,
middling, like, and then next thing you
yeah.
know, the fucking place went mental, and it just stayed at the pitch stayed that level for the rest of the match.
I honestly loved what they did with this match.
Yeah,
I love that they've got the contract off Lola. I don't have anything wrong with Lola, but at the end of the day,
yeah.
she still is very new to this. She
Hmm.
showed that she can hang with
Oh
people though.
yeah,
She two very, very, we know how good Roxanne is. We know how good Lyra is.
yeah.
And she really did keep up with them in the triple threat scenario. And there was a couple of times where I actually thought she was
I
going to
thought,
win.
yeah.
The spinning back fist and just the kicks and
Quick
everything.
to kick it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like you said, the start of the match was kind of a feeling out process
Hmm.
between them, and I did enjoy that. I do think there is still money in a Lyra and Roxanne singles match,
Yeah.
just a pure singles match. But uh, with regards to when it got to the triple threat, I genuinely think it heated up a lot more when
Hmm.
it got to that. I think, like you said, it was a little slow, and the crowd was they weren't losing the crowd, but the crowd wasn't as hot as they were for like Dijak
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Gacy, for example. But I think the right person won. I think Lyra is a long-term champ in
Yeah.
NXT as well, and I think once she does drop that title, they're going to put her straight onto the main roster because they do see something in Lyra. They definitely do see something
Abs
in Lyra.
hmm.
It's very clear, um, that she is being groomed to be one of the top
Yeah.
stars in the company. at
The
some
the
point.
the crowd seemed to be, not, I won't say they were booing her, but they seemed kind of disappointed that she won because they didn't get a cash in probably more than they were actually just booing her. Do you think they would ever turn her?
I don't think they'll turn Lyra, and if they do turn her, I think it will be as part of the Tatum storyline.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't think that's happening. I think obviously they're building to a match between Tatum and Lyra, and I do like that storyline as well. A
Hmm.
lot of people are kind of like, "Oh, it's been done before" and so forth. But Tatum's really good at it. I think
Yeah,
Tatum is hilarious in the role, and I think Lyra is hilarious in the role. I don't know if you've seen the social media videos that they've been putting up
she's loving
together.
it. Yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah,
brilliant. She's
they're
totally playing onto it.
and I think that's what they're building to for Lyra anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they're going to do next, but I think and I do think as well that Lola working with Roxanne is
Hmm.
very, very smart play because
Yeah,
Roxanne obviously is probably the best belt to belt women's wrestler in
yeah,
NXT,
100%.
bar Lyra probably.
They showed at the start of the match they could both
Yeah.
go, like they worked so well. Like technically, Lyra is like she's been at it for years over here, so
Oh yeah.
we know how technical she is with Fight Factory. Like when she learned off, people like Phil Boyd and Katie
Yeah.
Harvey, like they all like the technical side of their wrestling ability is crazy. So
Yeah. I don't I really, like I said when we first started talking about this match, I am really happy that they did get the contract off Lola because I
yeah,
feel the problem with the breakout contract for me is you're not going to have someone as experienced, not as experienced, but someone as good as Roxanne come around again.
yeah.
And or sorry, I say for the women's contract anyway.
Hmm.
Lola obviously is good. She's getting a following. She will continue to get a following, and she is really good, like
Yeah,
for her level. But uh, I feel like the contract in the wrong hands can lead to someone being thrown into deep end
yeah,
too
yeah, yeah,
early. So I don't know about if they need to change the prize for the breakout tournament or if they're going to continue doing it. I like the idea of having something that you can cash in NXT,
hmm,
especially. But I do think that needs some refining. Personally,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's just my opinion on that, though.
Yeah. Well, there's no real mid card title. There's no real
No,
anything else they can cash it in on,
yeah,
unless they were going after tag team titles or something like. But
yeah, and
didn't really.
They did tease that briefly, and that
Yeah.
was kind of the whole reason for the Electra and Lola feud
Hmm.
that went on. And I said it on Sunday. Or I might have said it Friday, but there is absolute a need for a mid card women's title in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I don't think it's something that if they don't have it, it'll be a massive problem. But I do think that they have the talent now across all
Hmm.
three brands to
Yeah.
really, really legitimize that title
Yeah.
and
Well, they
bring it
have.
to it
They're
a new level.
pushing Bianca Belair massive, like with the
Yeah,
24K and the press conference. She's on the poster for a lot of stuff, but
yeah.
she's not going to be. Seemingly, she's not going to be in a title match at WrestleMania. So you know,
Yeah, see, that's the thing with Bianca. She's probably going to get on the card. She probably will get on the card. I do not see her not being on the card, and it's very obvious that they're probably going to build to a match with Jade because
hmm,
the original plans were probably speculating that Charlotte was going to be facing
yeah,
Bianca.
yeah,
That was the rumor. That was everything.
hmm,
But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't need to just be a main roster title. There's
yeah,
so
yeah,
many talented women in NXT that you could just have do what you do with the women's tag titles, bring them through all three brands, and actually do it because
yeah. They should.
it would produce so much more matchups. And
Hmm.
especially if you go down to NXT, a lot of the women that you could defend her against wouldn't get into a title match for another couple of years,
Yeah,
a year and a half before they even get close to a title match. And being able to do that earlier would be brilliant for the development,
yeah. You saw
personally,
what
I
they
think.
did with Becky going down there and working with so many
Exactly.
people. And
Exactly.
yeah. Speaking of the contract, the Oba Femi, who cashed in his and defeated Dragon Lee. Um, I, he's a big dude. He's
Oh,
very, very,
terrifying.
very talented for his young age. What is he, 22,
He's
20?
very young. I'm
Yeah,
not sure on his exact age. Let's see. He's 25,
25.
so
Okay, yeah.
same age as me. Um, but yeah, there's so much to say about Oba Femi. There's so much that you can say about him. He's got that. I don't like to use the word aura, but
Hmm.
even during his entrance, the man managed to make walking to the beat of his music not look silly.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I like he looked great in his entrance. He looked great in the match, and I do think that it's absolutely insane that the level he is wrestling at.
yeah.
And it was a short enough match again with Dragon Lee,
It was
but it was a
Dragon Lee,
fun one.
yeah. Are you
Dragon
surprised
Lee
with Dragon Lee? Like,
Dragon Lee is someone who I think that's him done. I don't know for sure if that's him done in NXT again, but he's so good. He's
hmm,
so good. And they had a great role for him on SmackDown
yeah,
where he was wrestling people in like 10-minute matches that were just rapid, just
yeah.
sprints. And
Bangers,
it
yeah,
worked and people were taking notice. Um so I think when he goes back to SmackDown, they need to find something for him. I think they did start that feud with Santos, and I
hmm,
think revisiting that at somewhere like Chamber or even at WrestleMania, if Ray's ready to go for Mania, I'm not sure what the status is of his
yeah,
injury and
yeah,
rehab. But Dragon Lee is someone that they've been looking for a long time.
yeah,
Personally, I find them to be someone who really can step up and take that role that Ray will leave behind.
yeah, yeah,
And I think a lot of people were worried when he did sign with WWE over AEW, that he would start to lose things about himself. But in my opinion, they've only
yeah.
heightened that.
Well, the fact that he was even able to keep his name,
Yeah.
that says a
So
lot.
so I think both Dragon Lee and Oba Femi, I think this match is a match that, like, on paper, you look at it, it's two guys who are the future of the entire
Hmm.
company. Oba Femi is going to be one of the biggest powerhouses in a long time. He is incredibly over. People are really starting to pay attention to him.
Yeah,
And I know I said about the contract being kind of something that they needed to work on. I think they did a great job of doing it with
yeah,
him.
hmm,
He went after Dragon. He knows he's not ready for someone like Dragunov yet.
yeah,
He
yeah,
went
yeah.
after Dragon Lee and he just ragdolled him.
Big
So
time, yeah.
so for me, both of these guys, I just want to see more of them. I want to see
Yeah.
more of them as much as possible.
He's kind of an old school, not to,
Giant. Yeah.
he would fit into a lot of generations. Like,
Yeah.
the old management, the old guard would have loved him.
Old
A
school
big,
powerhouse.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Looking forward to see what to do with him for the future. Like going into WrestleMania week for Stand and Deliver, I'd be surprised if he
Yeah.
doesn't have a meaty man slap meat match with somebody.
I know people are wanting Braun to like go to the main roster,
Yeah,
like, and stuff like that, but I would absolutely love to see those two wrestle. I would
yeah,
absolutely, the intensity and the athleticism in that match would be absolutely brilliant. Just give us a 10-minute sprint of them
yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely throwing each other everywhere around the arena. I would pay to see that. As
I if they're not doing it, if Braun uh Strowman isn't doing anything for WrestleMania and he's looking for a
oh,
match, I'd
I
throw
don't
him in
think
there.
I don't think he'd be ready. I think he's
Is he
still
still
recovering from his neck surgery,
right?
but that is definitely something I'd like to
That would
see in the
be that would be
future.
wicked.
Yeah.
Um, before we go into the main event, there was a lot of segments in between the matches for this Chase U calendar. Are you surprised they're doing an angle like this?
I'm not a fan of it in the slightest.
No,
I really don't. I understand what they're trying to do with it. I really do, and I get that it's not supposed to be like this, like, predatory thing or anything
mm,
like that. It's supposed to be they're willing to do it, they want to do it, so on and so forth. But it's just horrible timing.
this shouldn't be
It's
happening.
horrible timing.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a great idea in a vacuum. It's a fun
mm.
idea in a vacuum, but you really got to learn to read the room on this kind of situation. It's
Why wouldn't they do it in December whenever people start buying calendars for the following year? Like, why would you do
exact.
it in February?
They've dragged this storyline out so
Yeah,
long,
it's
and I don't hate it. I don't really have an opinion on the
mm,
storyline itself. I think other than the fact that Tia Hale is going to be a fucking superstar. Sorry for the swearing.
yeah, swear away.
But I don't know. It's horrible timing and having it be on such a prevalent spot on the show.
Yeah.
I think having multiple segments on it, having Lexus King show up and all that.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's not something that's an absolute like deal breaker for me, but I just can't help but feel gross about it if you get me.
Yeah, it's it seemed very ill timed that, when they
Yeah.
paraded him out on NXT a couple of weeks ago, it was just like this is happening at the exact same time as all the news started
Yeah.
breaking. It's like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this right now? Like, sure, they could
Yeah.
have just said, we'll scrap this because this is gonna
Different fundraiser idea. You could literally do any.
anything.
There's a million fundraiser ideas that would make
They
sense for
could so
Chase
people
Use.
set up a security team in the parking lot and raise money to hire security so people aren't getting attacked outside all the time.
That's a brilliant idea
You
because
know,
as we know, it's
it's dangerous
dangerous
out
out there.
there. It's like the floor. It's worse than the floor is lava. You go out and touch the tarmac out there, you're pretty much gone.
So we've actually it just now that you say the parking lot, we've actually been trying to figure out on Fightful. One of the things we've actually been looking at is trying to really get a part on our site where we detail literally every single person who has been attacked in the NXT parking lot. That's something that we've been that Sean wants.
Since NXT began,
Yeah, just the full, just let's have a look and see how actually many people because it's
a
the list
lot,
is just it's
a lot.
insane.
Yeah.
It's in, and I love that they've lent into that and it literally they made it there and a clip that's been going around lately was Kyle O'Reilly stepping up to I can't remember who he was stepping up to, but he literally said, "This is a parking lot, bro. Why are you attacking people in a parking lot?" And like that's just been on my mind since. That it's hilarious to me personally.
That yeah, was it? No, it wasn't Champa.
It
I can't
was
remember.
Champa.
Was
It
it?
was Champa. Yeah, it was Champa attacking. I can't
Or
remember who he attacked. I can't remember who he
wasn't
attacked, but
Gargano? No, no, no.
I don't
No.
think it was Gargano. But I do remember the this. I do remember it was Champa. Yeah,
Yeah. If NXT management are watching this right now, or people who make the toys for WWE, you need to make a toy parking lot. They have all these rings, but you need a parking lot and just put the
just
toys
put the
into, and
buses
people are
and
just getting
everything.
attacked in the parking lot instead.
Yeah, that's money left on the table.
Someone I'm not sure if he has been attacked in the parking lot, but Ilya Dragunov, Trick Williams main evented the show in probably Trick's best match in NXT. I think he was
He's
absolutely phenomenal in this match. I think this is his breakout moment. I know he's been breaking out and he's been getting over and over for months, but this match was ridiculous.
yeah.
If somebody's written this match in their ratings and they don't give it 5 stars, I'll be very surprised.
I wouldn't go now. I love the match myself. Now, five
Mm,
stars for me would be a little high, but I'd give it easily 4.5
hmm
because Trick is very, very good for his stance. He still has a lot to learn in the
Yeah,
ring,
yeah.
but he is showing that he's you can just see just from when he started with Mello versus now,
hmm
he's gotten so much better.
Yeah,
And he delivered very much so in his championship match.
yeah.
Um, I don't think he should have won. I
Oh,
think
no.
a couple of people have said they would have thought that the turn after would have meant more if he'd won. But I think until Dragunov is ready to go up to the main roster, until they decide, right, time for him to go
Yeah,
and steal the show somewhere else, he needs to be champ.
yeah, absolutely.
There's no scenario in NXT left where I want to see Dragunov without a title.
No.
And I think the way that that man works is he's easily for me one of the most underappreciated talents on the planet.
Dragunov, absolutely, yeah.
I think he's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I think he's
hmm
easily top 10. And I think what adds to it is the fact that the way he bumps,
hmm
and this is something that I constantly ask about because he has such bad bumps and he
He
does
always
get
looks
banged up.
like, yeah,
He's always banged up, but the
yeah,
thing is, obviously with the Rich Holland stuff, that was all
mm,
storyline, but he was a little banged up going
yeah.
into the new year. So to come back and that's what he decides to do. Like he did have that bad spill on the outside where he
hmm
pretty much headbutted his own
Yeah,
knee
yeah, yeah.
and split him open. But that almost adds to his
Yeah,
matches.
it makes him more intense. Like
Yeah,
you said, like nobody sells like him. Like he looks like he's getting destroyed every time. Like when he's lying and he's getting bounced around the place, it's just like, oh my God, is he okay?
yeah.
And you, you can't tell if he's selling
If
or
he's
not.
selling or yeah, he's lit. Like you have like when I said he was okay, I got a lot of people saying to me like it's insane. He's
Mm,
constantly making people worried, but he's
yeah,
never actually seriously hurt.
never.
Like the man just does not get legitimately full on needs to take time like a significant amount. He does usually take the new year off. That's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that we me and Sean did look into a lot. We were trying to find out what was going on with him. Was he actually hurt, and if he did need time off? But that is just something that he does, and I think he did come back into this match a little rejuvenated. I feel like he was. It was a sprint. Like
Yeah.
most of the matches on this show, other than the women's match, which did become a sprint when it became a triple threat. I feel like Dragunov and Trick. I feel like the finish of that match was one of my favorite finishes in a
Mm-hmm.
long time in a title match. The fact that they both went for the
Both went for
finishers,
it. Yeah.
you almost didn't know what happened. It was almost like
Yeah,
who hit
you
their
couldn't
finisher. I have
tell.
no
Yeah.
idea. And then when they slowed it down,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
see that Dragunov landed. So I really did enjoy that match, and I
Yeah.
really did enjoy the finish. I enjoyed Trick. I enjoyed the one thing that a lot of people are saying that I find hilarious. People are like, "How do you fall into a chop block?" Here's how you fall into a chop block: because you want to.
Wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was when I was like, yeah, the tournament. I was like, that's it. No man falls into a chop block if you
He
just
he
straight
really
in.
he really was overacting the outside though. Whenever you
Yeah,
if you go back and watch it again after he turned on him, you go back and
a
watch it.
Carmelo
His
can.
overacting was just like,
Yeah.
oh come on.
He
You
was
could see it.
wearing he was wearing the same outfit that Sean wore when he turned on Janae.
Oh
And for me,
yeah. Oh, I
Just
didn't even caught that.
Sean just literally, I feel like, goes backstage after shows and he's just like, he watches his own tapes and he's like, I'm gonna do that, gonna do that, gonna do that, gonna do that. Because and not to say that it doesn't work. I find it almost endearing that he's kind of bringing the stuff that worked
Yeah,
for
yeah,
him. Because it's just small little nods. And for all we know, Melo might have just decided to do it on his own because he gets it in a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
And I think Melo as a heel is an absolute superstar.
yeah.
He has such a different aura about him when he's a heel. And I think Trick going up against him, they could main event Stand and Deliver without the title. I genuinely
Absolutely.
think they could.
That's wouldn't be the first time they've a non-title match is main evented a takeover slash
Yeah.
NXT pay-per-view.
I can see them almost doing a few years ago they had uh Aleister Black, they had Gargano and the
Mm,
Ciampa all working the same story. It was a
yeah.
triple threat, then it was the
Hmm.
attacks and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. And I think very much that they could do that this time. They could easily do a triple threat feud between Dragunov, Trick, and Carmelo. They
Hmm.
built it up already,
Yeah.
and it is a long-term story because Melo was trying to push blame onto Dragunov, obviously. So I think that could be the direction for Stand and Deliver either. But
Yeah.
one way or another, I do think whatever Melo and Trick are doing, it will be the main event.
Will it be Roadblock is coming up before Stand and Deliver? It's
That's
announced,
true.
so they have a special coming up. So I'm not sure
Yeah,
whether
that'd be
they hold
it.
off.
It depends if they're going on the road or not.
Mm.
It really does because they've been hinting at it.
Yeah.
They haven't explicitly said that they're going back on the road. And Dave Meltzer did post that it wouldn't be as cost effective as obviously running the shows in
Yeah.
DC,
Yeah.
but financially they would probably make their money back because the NXT brand is as hot as it's been in
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
That crowd, for most of the night last night or
yeah,
Sunday night was hot. So there's no reason why they couldn't pull in 5,000 people into
they were
arenas.
they were very happy with the collection crowd.
Yeah.
I can tell you that they were very happy with the responses and all that. They weren't particularly happy about the booing for The Rock when his graphics was shown. They did try and cover that a little. It
Mm.
was very noticeable on the broadcast, but I had it
Yeah.
confirmed to me as well, which is odd to me given how Raw turned out this week. But that's a whole different conversation
Yeah.
entirely.
You could
And
talk all day about that.
circling back just to the aftermath of the main
Mm.
event, um, I do think they need to stop with copyright moments when the
Yeah.
copyright logo pops
Pops
up.
up.
They're doing it too much, and
Yeah.
eventually you're going to produce an expectation that something is going to happen, and you're going to have people complaining that nothing did happen. So I feel like when they originally started doing it, when Gargano or
Mm.
Ciampa turned on Gargano,
Yeah.
that was great. I do think that was the right call for this because it was a nice little callback. Again, there's so many parallels between
Yeah. Yeah.
DIY and Trick and
Hmm.
Carmelo. So I I don't want them to stop doing it entirely, but just save it a bit more because it feels like now nearly every show has a copyright moment, even
Yeah.
Raw, even SmackDown, even
It does.
NXT. Like, and it used to be a signal of the last shot of the show, copyright logo, and I feel like now it's just been overdone. But I am really looking forward to see what comes next for Melo and Trick.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens now in the road to WrestleMania for Stand and Deliver, because there is a lot of shows. Like we have what 60 odd days. So
Yeah,
there's
to round that, yeah. We
but
have time.
we have time to build up a lot of more storylines, whether it is going to be a triple threat, whether it's going to be Lyra and Roxanne and
Yeah.
in a singles match again, or maybe another triple threat. You don't know.
Yeah.
Like you said, Dragunov or Dijak could end up in title picture, or maybe Oba Femi and Dijak could end up.
Oh my good grief! I didn't even think of that one. Holy hell! Now I need that match. I need it. I don't care. You just put that thought in my head, and I am going to be shouting that from the rooftops until Stand and Deliver, because I need that match now. Holy hell!
Yeah, two big men slapping man meat. That's a match that would definitely fucking Stand and Deliver.
Now you've put that in my head. It's all I'm going to vote for. Dijak, do me a favor tonight. Attack him, please.
Let's hope so. Well, when this goes out, this will go out the day after NXT goes out. So just
tomorrow.
in case we don't spoil anything, or we don't tell you what happens in NXT, we haven't seen it yet.
And
yeah, Corey, anything like you want to talk about your interviews there? You've had a few interviews lined up with Fightful.
Actually, just after getting off recording this, I'll be interviewing Amira, who's been getting a lot of attention the last few days for epic promo or Rev Pro.
Wow.
Just one of the most emotional promos that I've seen in independent wrestling period.
Yeah.
And on top of that as well, I recently sat down with OTT World Champion Sammy D, who was absolute joy to talk to. Just absolutely loves Irish wrestling to its core. And as well, Jay of Straw as well spoke to him what his goals are for 2024, and he's going to be such a star, man. He's going to be absolutely huge because he's so good already.
He is, and he knows who he is as a as a character. Like he knows how to play up whenever he's going in a certain direction. So he just got everything. I think for his age, I can't wait to see what he does this year.
Me too.
That's it, folks, for the NXT show. Hopefully we'll be back ahead of maybe Roadblock and NXT Stand and Deliver. Myself and Liz will be at NXT Stand and Deliver. We're traveling over to WrestleMania this year, first time in 9 years, and we're going to finally get to see an NXT proper show. We were at WrestleMania 31, and they were doing the WrestleMania Access. They were doing the small matches. People had to qualify to get into the Andre Battle Royal.
Yes,
it was Hideo Itami was his name in NXT, ended up winning that.
So long, man.
He beat Finn Balor in the final of that tournament.
Parking lot.
So yeah, we're looking forward to going to NXT Stand and Deliver. So if you have any predictions, anything you think is going to happen between now and Stand and Deliver, leave them in the comments. Let us know. Make sure you check out Fightful for Corey's interviews. They'll be coming up in the next few weeks. And as always, lads, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. See you guys.